Listen here, I can't go another year. No, I can't be up in here complaining. Gotta let them know I'm famous in my heart. Listen here, I'm here for the world to hear. And I'ma make sure they know what my name is. I just wanna end up famous in
I'm
their
so serious,
heart.
probably why they be so damn curious. They furious. Easy got these ladies on some silly shit. Now what the dilly is, I'm going all out. Hey, I'm the talk of the town, why y'all just saw a mouth? Here's a story about my quest to be rich. I'm like Beyonce and Kelly on some Destiny shit. Mr. 6 Mile, look me up, I'm somewhat a dream. Got my city like an addict, guess it's somewhat a fiend. For my team, anything less is uncivilized. Surprise, I'm seeing this world through clear eyes. And haters only made me more inspired to bless. On the clock right now, what the hell is the next? Like that feeling in your chest when you're ready to leave. Like that memory you had, you just couldn't believe. And we always got a little ammunition for y'all, cause we remember when they wouldn't even listen at all.
Listen here, I can't go another year. No, I can't be up in here complaining. Gotta let them know I'm famous in my heart. Listen here, I'm here for the world to hear. And I'ma make sure they know my name is. Wanna end up famous in there.
In 97 on Gunston and 6 Measy, the streets made a natural born hustler. Believe me, drop real with it. That was my first EP. Grind harder than granted, but made it look easy. Take it to the top, that was the plan. Now I'm known worldwide from Detroit to...
And ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the Jackson Report. This week, we got Chuck the Tech Guy's phone going off in the background. This week, it's going to be kind of a fun one for me. It's kind of a laid-back week. We 2 weeks away from the election. So, you know, the closer we get to the election, apparently they're digging up a lot more dirt. They trying to sabotage Uncle Joe, y'all. They trying to stray y'all vote. So basically now, images is coming out of his son Hunter. And apparently, Hunter kind of likes to take it in the cakes and smoke meth. I don't know what to say about that. When I saw the picture and it kind of blew me, like, y'all see it up in the corner. Look at the look on his face. Look like he taking it right there. So he's smoking meth and taking it in the cakes. If you ask me, though, you can't control what your kids do. I mean, that has no effect on us voting for Joe. We're not voting for his son. And then furthermore, that would mean Joe would have to be an advocate for the LGBTQ community. There it is in front of y'all. Y'all see it. But regardless of what the picture is showing y'all, 2 weeks from now, y'all make sure y'all go to those polls. Let's get Uncle Joe in there so we can see some difference. See what he about. Give him 4 years and see what he gonna do. But you know, this week, I figured I'm always talking about Austin and I'm always talking about what's going on down here in Texas. Figured I would speak to my hometown, but before I get to my hometown, apparently, I was looking through articles over the weekend, and earlier today I saw 50 Cent put up a tweet saying he endorsing Donald Trump. Now, I wonder, is everybody going to drag 50 like they dragged Ice Cube? Which leads me to a very good point. Here's the deal, y'all. You got to look at it from a celebrity standpoint. Whether we like it or not, a lot of our celebrities and athletes and all these people y'all be looking up to and praising and Oh, you ready to fight and argue with somebody? Like I'm seeing everybody in this big debate is LeBron James the GOAT. Guess what? That man worth $450 million. Do y'all think he a Democrat? Do y'all really think he believe in the same laws that we believe in? 50 Cent basically wants to endorse Trump because of Joe Biden's tax plan. Apparently, he wants to put a 62% tax on New York City alone in the New York, New Jersey area. So think about it, y'all. Now you think about what the money you make. None of us is making hundreds of thousands of millions. Imagine that getting taxed 62%. What's the state tax in Michigan? I think state tax in Michigan is 8%. So imagine 54 more percent on top of that. So sometimes before we drag these people and get all mad about what they doing, you got to think about it. They looking at it just like you would. You trying to protect your investment like they trying to protect theirs. Don't get me wrong. I'm not advocating for 50 Cent endorsing Trump. I think that's a bunch of bullshit. Just like I think Ice Cube endorsing Trump is a bunch of bullshit. But in Cube's defense, he presented his plan to both parties. The Democrats said we'll talk more about it after the election. Whereas Donald Trump and them said, oh, come on, sit down. We'll hear you out. Now, me being in business myself now, I can kind of understand his standpoint. That's just like if I went to a sponsor and said, hey, I got this show. It's the Jackson Report. I'm building up a following. I got all these people that's viewing. And they say, okay, we'll talk to you at the beginning of the year. And I go to another sponsor whom everybody may not like. And they say, come on in. Let's sit down. Let me hear what you're talking about. Who you think I'm going to sit down and talk with? You think I'm going to wait till the beginning of the year? Or do you think I'm going to sit down and talk with the people who trying to talk right then and there? It's common sense. So whereas I don't fully agree with how Ice Cube approached it and what he doing, I can kind of understand. As should y'all. Because whether we like it or not, our celebrities and athletes, they millionaires. They not looking at the game or looking at politics the same way we are. They looking at it in a way of protecting everything that they worked hard for. So you just imagine. You on a set schedule now, and you at a certain pay rate. You know, a lot of us starting businesses and going into entrepreneurship and trying to get our things going on. So imagine they all taking off now. You start getting in different tax brackets. So now you paying attention to policies. You paying attention to the rules they making out here. You paying attention to whose policies, what administration is coming in and what they standing for. And if the one that everybody else like don't have the policies that agree with your investment, who you think you gonna go with? See, it get tricky when you start getting into this money thing and you start trying to be successful and you start trying to get a lot of wealth for yourself. If you're not, basically, if you're in that 12% tax bracket, like the majority of us is in the United States, you wouldn't understand. So once you step outside that 12% tax bracket and you start seeing all these different tax breaks, of course you're going to lobby for the administration that's basically the best choice for you and your investment. I didn't come up here this week to make y'all agree with Ice Cube or make y'all agree with 50 Cent and the choices they making and who they endorsing. But I will say this. As much as we ragging two people, mind you, it's just two people. Just because 50 said, oh, hell no, I'm endorsing Trump after I saw Biden's plan. And Ice Cube said, hey, I sat down and talked with Trump about this plan I got for the black community. Even if they both casted their vote for that man, that's two people. Two people. Which is leading me into my other topic that I really want to get on. Two people. If two people can cause that much mass hysteria all over social media, all over the country, yeah, I know they both black men, but they just two people. Two people. Which is leading me to the point I'm getting to this week. This week, I figured I wanted to come on here and talk to my fellas. What happened to the real G's? What happened to the real G's that actually stood for something? Because see, when I was coming up, it was YBI, it was Pony Down, it was all these different groups. But they stood for something other than just mass killing and running through the hood trying to get stripes or flash money. And I'm speaking about this because I see a lot of us complaining about the youth coming up behind us and how this new generation is just so wild and how they just don't follow tradition. They don't have no morals. But you think about it. What examples did they see? What role models did they have? A lot of them growing up in households with single mothers, watching their uncles do drugs, be abusive towards women. And then every time you look up social media, you're looking on social media or you're watching TV, the only thing that's displayed is buffoonery in my eyes. If you ain't walking up in something, shooting it up, or boasting about how much money you got, it's basically like you're not accepted. So it reverts back to my question. What happened to the real G's? The G's that was preaching against what they was doing in the neighborhoods. Making us go to school. Or reaching in their pocket, giving us a handful of money so we wouldn't be on the block. What happened to them guys? Oh, I know what happened to them. They got older, and we became them guys. So what example is we setting to the generation coming behind us? That it's okay to pull your gun out, shoot somebody, and that make you a gangster. It make you a gangster when you behind that glass for the rest of your life. Now you nothing. See, last week I knew I ruffled a lot of feathers. But a lot of people understood I was telling the damn truth. This week, I may ruffle a lot of feathers again. But just know I'm only telling the damn truth. And I'm not speaking against my people. I'm speaking basically like a group meeting that we should have been had. It's like nowadays, everything is glorified. All of the stereotypes that we sit and get so pissed off about, we glorify them at the same time. Just like females don't want to be called hoes, but want OnlyFans pages. Dudes don't want to be called bitches, yet they do bitch-made stuff. So a lot of y'all may be sitting at home and might be watching this episode. The numbers on this episode, the views might not be that high. But I juggled this whole topic all day long at work, joking, even in the group chat with my producers. I was just shooting stuff like, I'm going to speak on this. And my producer like, talk about something interesting. Like stick on that Hunter Biden getting tanked in the ass bit. But I would not be me if I didn't speak what I genuinely felt. That was the whole purpose of me making this Jackson report. Because I have so many topics that I be wanting to speak on to my people, sit y'all all down. But I have to think, how many people gonna get upset? Because as a black man, I'm sitting here and y'all look at the whole overall setup of the show and y'all may be thinking, as a black man, he's sitting there and he downing us in front of his white producers. He just cooning for them. But the reality of it is unless you grow outside of the environment of being surrounded by everything that's hood, you wouldn't understand my standpoint. See, when I first moved to Austin, I was like a fish out of water. I was looking around and I'm like, all these different nationalities, these different people, they ain't gonna understand me. I'm from the hood. But the more and more I've been here, the more and more I started to appreciate the diversity, appreciate the different views. I was having a conversation one day with this guy. I was doing Lyft. I had this guy in the back of the car. We were speaking on the whole race thing. And his thing was, no, I'm not racist. I just never grew up around black people. And that blew me because I'm like, how could you not have never been around nobody black? We everywhere. But I really thought about it. In a reverse sense, I guess. Because I started thinking about it in the projects and in my grandma's hood. Just how many white people did I really see? Other than the twos and fews that moved in and out the hood. So it got me to really thinking. Dang, a lot of times, I can't really be knocking a Detroiter for not knowing, because you can only know what you used to. But you don't have to be what you used to. The difference with me being down here in Texas and me being in Detroit is when I see another black guy, and we may be in passing, it's not ice grills or mean mugs. It's a head nod or what up, dog? So it got me to wondering, Is it just a mentality that's been placed on us being from Detroit or being in Detroit? Detroit been the murder capital for damn near my whole life. And it's not just Detroit. You can travel all around Michigan. You go to Lansing, it's the same thing. Flint, the same thing. Saginaw, Muskegon, Grand Rapids. It's all the same thing. So it got me to thinking, what happened? What happened to the leaders of the community that I grew up seeing? Because I grew up in the Jeffries Projects and on 6 Mile. And I can recall being in the Jeffries Projects during the YBI era. The dudes who I grew up to later find out were stone cold killers was so respectable that I never expected that. They had respect for their elders. They had respect for women. They never let us as kids get put in harm's way. Whereas now, to be considered gangsters, you just gotta I'm letting them fly. I'll air this bitch out. With no consideration of no other human life. That make you a gangster. That make you real. Oh, he a real nigga. He ain't scared. It's like we depict ourselves in such a fucked up light, yet we want the respect of everybody. And I didn't even know which way I was going to go with this topic today when I got up here to speak on this with y'all. I really didn't. But I know one thing. Hopefully by the end of this episode, it be done sunk in y'all mind that we need to do better. We need to be more unified, as opposed to you see another black person doing something, or if you ain't got haters, you ain't doing something right. That's crazy. Why hate somebody that's striving to be something better than they were? Why not support that? It's like we want all these other ethnic groups to give us some sort of praise, some piece of the pie. We don't get no respect. They look at us and we profiled and we this. But we look at us and we profiled and we this. And if I'm lying, I'll give y'all an example. See, when I be making these topics and I be thinking of them in my mind, I always be able to reference them from an experience I personally had. Because I remember growing up on 6 Mile, it could be 30 of us all sitting on a porch or all gathered around in front of somebody's house just talking, shooting the shit. And we see somebody, another black guy look just like us walking up the street. And we look at each other. Who know him? Nobody know him. We messing with him. It's the same thing as how you would feel if you was walking through a white neighborhood and they looked. Who's that guy? We doing it to ourselves. So again, I say, what happened to the real gangsters? What happened to the real queens? We always want to run around. The very first thing that we say, I'm a king. I should be treated as such. All our sisters, I'm a queen. Treat me as such. And I could screenshot at least 30 different things on my timeline that goes directly against both of those statements. You got dudes that'll get on Facebook and gossip more than a room full of women would. Then you got all of the females that get on Facebook. I got that WAP. I got this. I Cash App me that. Cash App me this. My Cash App is this. If you want to see this, if you want to see these pictures. And we expect that to garner us some kind of respect. When I be speaking on stuff like this, I get so frustrated because it's like more people will criticize me as opposed to actually letting it sink in. You want to be a queen? Stop acting like a peasant. You want to be a king? Learn to be a leader. And that's for the old generation and the younger generation. Because I see a lot of young guys, an older guy try to tell him something, his old ass don't know shit. But my uncle used to always say this statement, and I didn't never understand it until I got older. He used to be like, it's the same old suit, just warmed over. And me getting older can recall a lot of times my uncles probably should have threw me off a damn patio or something for some of the stuff I said, thinking I knew it all. When they was looking at me like, dummy, I been there, done that. And I guess this episode, I'm talking to my age group. I see a lot of the fellas out there, they be trying to lead in their own right. But you got to think how we was when we was young. We didn't want to hear it. But on the same note, our OGs didn't care that we didn't want to hear it. They kept telling us. They kept making us. I can recall times we be out on the block ready to do the dumbest stuff in the world. Next thing you know, we ended up having a pool party because one of the OGs done walked up. Man, y'all get off the block. Go get a room. Go swimming. Do something like that. Oh, y'all trying to go to the homecoming dance? We'll let y'all take these cars. I can recall being in the projects when something messed up was about to go down. They was making us go in the house. Y'all need to be out here. Y'all take y'all butt home. Whereas now, we think it make us a mob boss to send somebody young to do our dirty work. Oh, I got my youngins that'll ride on you. And in my eyes, that make you a coward. because you can't handle your own business for yourself. See, I kept telling my producers all day long, oh yeah, I need y'all to pull up this and pull up that, because what I'm going to speak on probably going to piss some people off, but it's the damn truth. And if you think I'm lying about the whole Detroit thing and being bigger than y'all environment in Michigan, when I got here today to sit down ready to record this show, I was going through a last second crunch with Chuck, and he's showing me all the articles he pulled up, and he pulled up one that literally made me sit back in this chair and get frustrated. Michigan, the incarceration rate in Michigan is second only to the United States as a whole country. Second behind the United States. That means there's more people in prison in Michigan than 11 other countries in the world. What sense do that make? And then what's really messed up is when you break down the real numbers, the majority of them are, guess what? You guessed it, black people. Of course, we all knew that went without say. Y'all see it. Look at the rate. It's more of us going to prison than every other ethnic group. Whereas on some occasions, we falsely accused. But out of that many people, not all of them got falsely accused. Not all of them was just victims of police brutality or profiling or just being black. The majority of them, I'm willing to bet, did some of the dumbest stuff in the world and just got caught doing it. And I'm not saying everybody can just be on the straight and narrow their whole life. Everybody bend the rules. But it's a matter of how you bend the rules. I'm even willing to sit here and tell y'all success does not come without bending the rules a bit. Everybody that's a success story has bent the rules in one way, fashion, form, or another. But when they bent them, they bent them with a main agenda in mind. They didn't just bend them for some hood clout or some kind of glory from the people they around. No. So when I be speaking on my city, I don't speak on it just so I can down where I come from. Have y'all ever thought I be speaking on it from a place of frustration because of how we portrayed outside of the city? When you on the outside looking in something. When I say if you in Detroit, it's predominantly black in Detroit. I'm willing to bet everybody that's moved out of Detroit, that moved somewhere as diverse as where I'm at now, can understand exactly what I'm talking about. We look like fools around the country. We be going everywhere. Yeah, they scared of us because I'm from Detroit. But we never pay attention to when I'm from Detroit. Oh my God, I'm sorry. It's a reason they saying that. It's a reason they saying that. Because of the stuff that we glorify. I remember one year I was looking up numbers, and Detroiters was the main consumers of Moet. An expensive ass champagne that tastes like shit to me. The main consumers of Moet. Yet, not the main consumers of home ownership. So last week, when I was speaking on how females portray themselves and expect to nab a successful man, a lot of my sisters got pissed at me. But I need y'all to understand something from my standpoint. When you on the outside looking in and you see a certain picture being painted, sometimes tough love comes into play. A lot of my sisters be wanting to be portrayed as queens and, oh, my price just went up. A dude got to be like this. But when you see stuff like this, Chuck, we got that video, don't we? When you see stuff like this, and yes, this is Detroit. That's real queen-like behavior, huh? When you see stuff like that, so me being somewhere else, and they say, oh, where are you from? Oh, I'm from Detroit. Oh, I just saw a video about Detroit. That's how y'all do it up there? And you have to sit back with your foot in your mouth like, It's a crazy game, y'all. It's almost like we living nowadays more for imagery than we are for being respected. We feel like feeding into the stereotypes makes us something. When in all honesty, we looking real crazy out here, y'all. We 2 weeks away. 2 weeks away from the election. And I chose to really sit and speak to my peoples. Because all these other weeks I've been speaking about Donald Trump or speaking about Biden or speaking about all these other issues. Except for the one that's right in front of us. It won't be another race that make us extinct, y'all. It won't be. If we don't get our act together, we gonna do it to our damn selves. And since I mentioned we 2 weeks away from the election, I hope a lot of y'all is getting out here early voting. Because November 3rd, I don't want to hear nobody complaining about who won and who lost if you didn't vote. You don't have a voice. You don't have nothing to say. You just along for the ride. And speaking of November 3rd, I was just informed earlier by my producers. I may be streaming a little later that day, so we could stream during the results of the election, so I could let y'all know if we're all going to die or not. I don't know, but depending on who wins, I think it's going to be crazy in America, in all honesty. I think either way it go, we should just be preparing for 2 months of complete chaos. Especially with how it's looking now. Basically, Trump, like, whether I win or lose, I'm not leaving. Biden's coming in with a son who apparently does drugs and does men too. I mean, when we think about the choices we have, we needed a third option other than Kanye. Which is strange to me because a lot of people saying he was on the ballot in their city. And I knew who I was voting for when I went in, so I didn't really look all down the ballot to see if he was on the one here in Texas. But the reality of all this is, y'all, regardless of who gets in office, we know neither one of them really gonna target us. So if we really want to make change, we have to do it ourselves. I'm not saying go out here, form no rebellions and talk about storming the White House or no crazy shit like that. I'm talking about changing up our communities. Change the image of our communities. If we want to level the playing field off, we got to stop looking at the hood as just the hood. This the hood. This our hood. Build the hood up. All you brothers that's in the hood swear y'all getting money, posting it all on Facebook, talking about how y'all getting money. Do something for y'all hood. How about that? That's really being a boss. Not just talking about how you getting money and flashing it and thinking it look good for the ladies. Build your community up. Since I see a lot of y'all love to talk about how y'all get money and all my boys get money, y'all get together and buy y'all block up. Refurbish the houses on y'all block. I know a group of sisters right now. They in 4 different parts of the country. But they got together to do something, and they got a big movement going on. They doing a virtual pop-up shop. And they making waves with it. So all y'all that be sitting up talking about, oh, I'm a real one. I'm G'd up. I'm a gangster. I'm a real G. Real G's uplift their community. Real G's don't condone the younger brothers in the hood going in and out of jail for trying to do the dumb stuff they know that they doing. Real G's make sure the businesses in the community ain't getting burnt down, ain't getting robbed. Since y'all really want to keep saying, oh, we the mob, I'm a boss. You a boss of what? What are you really the boss of? Because if you don't own nothing, you're not the boss of nothing. The stuff I've been seeing all weekend, the articles I was reading, like the article I read about the young dude, some rapper in California, I think, got busted for all these fake unemployment claims. I think he had $1.2 million in unemployment claims. And in our communities, oh, we big up in that. He getting over. Like this episode, being honest, I really don't care how the views go this episode. Because this was something I really wanted to get off my chest. Much to the chagrin probably of my producers, because I've been giving y'all good shit every week. This week, this was just something I needed to get off my chest. Because I'm just, like, me being me, going on the shit that we glorify. A $3,500 pair of glasses is ooh-wee to us. And half of the dudes that got it don't even own houses. But yet you run around, I got my buffs on. This week was a different week for me, y'all. I had so many other topics I could have spoke on, and I just pushed them all off my table. Because I really wanted this to hit home with the people that I know, the people that I grew up around. When do we get tired of glorifying being a boss or nothing? I could literally say I'm a boss. I pay people to work for me. I pay people to produce this show. I pay for this setup. But that don't make me a boss. I own this. So I guess I could be boasting I'm a boss. But for what? To be a boss, you got to employ people. To be a boss, you got to lead people. To be a boss, you got to establish something that's long lasting. That's what makes you a boss. And I'm not saying establish a prison record or a rap sheet. Build something. Be examples to these younger brothers coming up under y'all. Ladies, be an example to them younger females coming up under y'all. Dear Cardi B, Megan Thee Stallion, and all of the females talking about all of the freaky stuff they talk about on songs, that's entertaining. That was their way out. They making their money. But to glorify that and to feel like to be accepted or to be successful, that's what you got to do. Everybody fell into that whole thing of sex sells. Yeah, it sells, but for how long? Because your body does change. So in order to be bosses, these kings and these queens that we keep speaking on, we got to start walking a higher road. So to the real kings, I salute y'all. It's a few of y'all. I could run down names, but I'm not going to do it on this show. To the real queens, I salute y'all. It's a few of y'all too. But if I'm constantly seeing you flashing money, you flashing guns, you talking about how you eating and you getting it, but you don't own nothing, you're not a real G to me. If you're talking about how 100 you are, oh, I'm a boss. Yet, your block only got 5 houses on it and 10 lots, you're not a boss. If you still renting from somebody, you're not a boss. Ownership makes you a boss. Being part of the real game makes you a boss. And when I say the real game, I'm not talking about the hood game where you slanging something or you got this moving in and out. No, I'm talking about that game where you paying attention to these bills they writing because you know they directly affect you. That's being a boss. I could get up here every week, spew off a bunch of topics and articles that I done read about. But I figured this week, why not get up here and spew off about something I lived through and experienced? I tend to hear a lot of people say, oh, y'all don't know because this time is different than y'all time. No, it's not. The only thing that's different about this time than ours is computers. That's about it. We had crazy presidents, not as crazy as this one, but we had crazy presidents. We had the same issues that the younger generation been having. They just don't believe it because they wasn't there. Just like we didn't believe it when our folks was telling us because we wasn't there. But we need to start being more of an example for the younger brothers coming behind us. Because there's more to life than picking up a gun and scamming to get some money. Or posting a bunch of stories, blowing a whole bunch of weed, and I'm a boss. How you a boss, but you don't have a job? How you a boss and you really not a productive part of society? Bosses don't run scams. Just like queens don't be a part of this new age tricking. That's what I call it. People say, oh, OnlyFans, there's a lot of people doing different stuff on OnlyFans. But come on, y'all. Y'all know what the majority of OnlyFans is. You got dudes and females alike acting a fool. And at the end of the day, we want some kind of respect from all of that. I keep saying it. One day the clouds just gonna part, the face gonna look down and be like, that's it, I had enough. Because I remember a pastor told me this. And I'm going to say this before I get out of here. A pastor stuck his arm out. He went from his shoulder to the crease in his arm. He said that was the Old Testament. He went from the crease of his arm to his wrist. He said that was the New Testament. Then he went from his wrist to the tip of his fingers, and he said, this Revelations, and this the time we living in. And for some reason, that always stuck with me. Because I'm looking at it. And Gail called me a nerd. But I took 2.5 years out of my life to read the whole Bible so I can get my own understanding of it. And whether y'all want to believe it was just this crazy book written to just keep us enslaved or whatever. We live in the symbolism as we speak. We seeing God get pushed further and further away from everything. And we idolizing material things more and more. Just something for y'all to think about. And another thing before I get out of here. I'm so ready to stop hearing both sides. Opinions is just opinions. Women, a lot of y'all done went through things with us as men, just like as men, we done went through a lot of things with y'all as women. And I'm saying that in reference to last week's show because of the flack that I got from it. If it's all right for the majority of the songs that come out from women, the majority of the talk shows, reality shows, be women's opinion of men, then by God, it's all right for me to have an opinion on the stuff I see when it comes from us as men looking towards women. So this week, my 15 seconds of shame, Chuck. It's going to go to all of the females with OnlyFans pages. Yet, y'all want to call yourself queens. You think about it. A queen never had to come out and display her sexual assets to be a queen. She was royal, graceful, held in high regard. So if you flashing titties and vagina everywhere, what's queen like about that? You could be mad or upset, but it's the truth. Queens is graceful. Queens carry themselves to a higher standard, just like kings do. So to my fellas, if all you doing is on the block pitching stuff that's killing other people, when you running around in the hood all day, ain't doing nothing but drinking your life away, you're not a boss. You're not a king neither. Because kings carry themselves to a higher standard. So the jewel I'm going to leave y'all with this week, you got to always strive to keep being a better you. And learn how to take criticism and not take it in a way of being ready to argue with somebody. Because sometimes people can see things in you that you may have never even saw in yourself. That's called bringing out the best in somebody, people. So before I leave y'all, I really want y'all to sit and think about it. We could say we real G's. We could say we kings. We could say we queens. All this stuff. But if we not owning nothing, building nothing, uplifting nothing, or being an example for something, we really just the idiots that we keep saying that they portray us as. So y'all ponder on that. And I'll see y'all next week. It's been another episode of the Jackson Report. Good night, y'all.